Hey guys, so you know the world is a dumpster fire, and I gotta hook myself to the little crumbs that the celebrities give me, so I can not have to deal with the fact that we're probably not gonna have food in a couple months. We're probably gonna enter a recession. So my distraction is Nicola Peltz Beckham and Brooklyn Peltz Beckham. I don't know why he took her name, but okay. I'm just scrolling on my little Yahoo webpage, being depressed by all the events, and then I see a picture of these two bozos, and they've renewed their vows, and I'm like, wasn't the wedding like yesterday? Why are we doing this, right? Their wedding was April 2022. I don't have the exact date, but it was April 2022. And they just renewed their vows August 2nd, 2025. Why? Like, it's 3 years after their wedding. They couldn't hold on for 5 years, 10 years later, you know what I'm saying? It's a couple months later. I'm like, is there an anniversary? Is she like into astrology and horoscopes, and there's like something significant about August 2nd? Why are we doing this 3 years and a couple months after your wedding? I don't understand that. I don't understand the point of that. Like, it would be different if, let's say, they were in Las Vegas and they were just like, hey, you wanna? Yeah, why not? We're here. And it's just like spur of the moment or whatever. Or if they're just somewhere and there's just like, I don't know, there's just a priest nearby, like, hey buddy, you want to come and marry? I don't know. Like, it would be more spontaneous, and it would be more like, okay, that's cute. But they do this 3 years and a couple months later, and we all know that there's a very public brouhaha between Brooklyn and his wife Nicola and Victoria and David Beckham, because in the pictures for the vow renewal, they're not there. Nobody from the Beckham clan is there. Not David, not Victoria, not Brooklyn's two brothers or his sister. They're not there. It's all Nicola's families. And so David, he hosted, because I was like, what? I was like, no, I'm sorry, not David, Brooklyn hosted something recently, because on the thing, and I'm reading this thing about the vow renewal, and it says Airbnb original events. I'm like, Airbnb, the business that's struggling because some people put their cleaning fees at like $700? What? They host events like that? What? And the event was plan a summer party with Brooklyn Peltz Beckham. Every time I have to read his name, it bothers me. It was on Sunset Strip, West Hollywood. I'm looking at my notes. And this was the event. Have a welcome drink. You better liquor me right up for that. The second part was feast your eyes. So you're watching Brooklyn Beckham on stage cook a meal with a chef. He doesn't even have the capability to be Martha Stewart and to just be the one showing you how to cook. He needs a chef. He needs a professional to be with him. What was the point of him being there? I understand, like, other people do that, but he has stated that he's a culinary entrepreneur. What? The third part is host with style. So this Nepo baby, who has married another Nepo baby who's a billionaire, is going to show you who can't even afford avocados how to host with style. Okay. And then the last part, wrap up at the pool. You get dessert and a little Cloud 23 gift. So I'm guessing, I don't even know what Cloud 23 is. I didn't have the heart to look it up because I'm just going to be sad. And they give you like a little gift. So I'm guessing they give you some products. Now, I wanted to look at the reviews on Airbnb. I'm like, oh, there's got to be somebody that left a review that was juicy. No, there was 8 reviews, and they were like 5-star reviews, and they were just like, this was amazing, best experience, I loved it. I was like, oh, I'm guessing these are people who have some sort of business with him, or they're friends, or they're friends of friends, or they're PR or managers. Like, maybe some people really did have a good experience, but all of the reviews are 5 stars. I don't buy that. I don't buy it. It's just so, him and his wife just have this air of fakeness, of phoniness. It's just, it's too much, you know? So that's what made me think, like, oh, the renewal of the vows, it's PR. Like, I don't know how true this was, but there had been reports that they got the same PR management team that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle had. They went and they got them too, because they're supposed to be the best of the best, to like work on their public image since the brouhaha between the Brooklyn's parents and her. And it's like, you guys have access to fortunes. Fortunes. These people could literally fuck off, never be seen again, and they would live an amazing life. They would be fine. They could have, she's a billionaire. You're gonna tell me that her parents don't have any money for her? Stop. Or no. Even whatever's going on between Brooklyn, David, and Victoria, like, I'm sure that he has some sort of money. He's had access to money over the years. I'm sure he has some sort of savings or something. Like, these people can literally, we don't have to see, what image do you need to repair? Why do you need to be a culinary, what was it? Entrepreneur. It sounds so stupid, even saying it out loud. Like, what are you talking about? And then when he basically just hosted a barbecue with less charisma and less pizzazz. Like, what are we talking about? What at the pool party that he hosted, he said about the renewal of the vows. We just wanted a really beautiful experience, a really cute memory. What was the wedding for? Wasn't that what the wedding was for? Isn't that why people make such a big deal about the wedding? Because you're like, this memory will live on until I die. Like, what are you talking about? And then the next part says, creating a memory that will stay with them forever. Do you see how they're pushing the memory thing? And how it's all just love and everything, and then his parents are not there? Do you see what PR narrative they're trying to push? We wanted to create a memory, something that will last forever. Well, that's part of the memory, that his parents weren't there. Whatever issue, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can say, like, yeah, they weren't there, they went on vacation, none of his family was there. That's our memory that's going to be with us forever. What was the point of this? This is not going to sway my opinion. Maybe for the people who like her, I guess there will be some people. Like, I really don't know if these people have any fans, or if people are just following them just because they like tea and gossip. I don't know how many people are like genuine fans of these people. I've never heard anybody say that. Like, in the article, the People article, where they're talking about their vow renewal, Brooklyn is listed as Cloud 23 CEO, and Nicola is listed as the Bates Motel actress. I had no idea she acted. I had no idea. I don't know what type of actress she is. I imagine she's very mediocre. Because here's the problem, right? And I used to like Ricky Gervais stand up. I don't really know what he's doing now, but you know, he was also too much sometimes. But I appreciated him for going after people in Hollywood. I appreciated him for saying some things that were very honest. One of those things was, he was like, I'm not gonna have kids because my kid is just gonna turn out to be a little shit. He's like, okay. He's like, do you think I know how much milk costs anymore? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I can't relate to you guys anymore. I have so much money, I just can't. That's the truth, right? It's the haves and the have-nots. The moment that income hits in, the moment that you have good chunks of money in the bank, that you have property and real estate, the moment where you actually have to draw up wills and trust, it's changed. You're a different person. You have different resources. You're a different person. That's just what it is. And what he said was right. He's like, my kid is gonna be a little shit because of my resources, right? Any of the people that become famous, part of what made them become that is, not everybody, but for a big chunk of them, the ones that really genuinely had zero connections, that they didn't have anybody, they weren't Nepo babies, they didn't have access to all this money or anything like that. It was the financial struggle. That's part of what pushed you. That's part of the drive. That's part of what is like, okay, I don't really want to do this, but I have to do this because I want a different type of lifestyle. I want to be economically set, right? There's some people that genuinely do things because it's like, I love the medium I work with. I genuinely love doing this. But for a lot of people, if you take away the economic boost or all the money, they're like, I'm probably not gonna do that. Nah, I'm probably not gonna do that. That's for most people, right? It just is what it is. So a lot of these Nepo babies, they don't have it because of the experiences they've had, right? So David and Victoria, they had to do what they had to do to hustle to get to the point where they are. Now Victoria, we all know the thing, like, where it's like, be honest, what car did your father drive you in? She was like, a Rolls Royce. So she had access to money, right? But then she got access to more money. She actually was, listen, I love my Spice Girls, okay? I love her. She did the best, you know, trying to sing and do all that. But she actually went out. She was doing stuff. She was meeting people. She actually did something. She got really into fashion. She has a makeup brand. One day I'll try one of her eyeliners because they're supposed to be really good. But I digress. You know what I mean? They actually had to pursue their creative endeavors, and they had to be good because it was like sink or swim, right? Brooklyn has had access to all this money. He's probably gone to private schools. He's had access to all the other Nepo babies, all the other people with money with their kids. He's had access to really nice vacations. He's had access to resorts. He hasn't been in situations where he's had to figure it out. He hasn't had situations where he's been like just at capacity, just trying to figure this out, where nobody else is gonna figure it out for you. You gotta figure it out, right? I think most people who don't have trust funds and stuff like that, even if you have parents who are very supportive and financially help you, there are certain stuff that you have to figure it out, whether it's like maneuvering stuff for college and loans and how you're going to pay this semester, or you know, figuring out genuinely figuring out what you want to do in life, having moments where you failed, where you're embarrassed, where you have no one to blame but yourself, and then you have to pick yourself up by the bootstraps, and you're like, okay, even though I still have the support and the security of my family, there's still walks I have to walk alone because I need to go through those character growths to be the person I'm supposed to be. You know what I mean? He hasn't had any of that. And Victoria and David, I'm sure that they were very loving parents. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know. But they seemed like a tight-knit group before, you know who Nicola reminds me of? She reminds me of, from the Addams Family, Pardos, Debbie, the widow, the Black Widow. That's who she reminds me of. That's that's a that would be a good costume for them. If they had any sense of humor about themselves, Brooklyn would dress up as Fester, and she would dress up as Debbie, and I'd be like, ooh, that's funny, that's good, you know, I like it. But they don't have a sense of humor about themselves. They think that they're God's gift to man. Okay, but Victoria and David, they never put both, each one put your soccer hand, David, on Brooklyn's shoulder. Victoria, you put your posh spice girl on the hand on the other one, and tell him, hey, you don't have any charisma. You don't have any X factor, any je ne sais quoi. Your looks are pretty average. You just don't got it, kid. Okay? We got a little trust fund for you. You got some money. You want to marry her, fine. Her parents, she's got some money too. Go travel. You know, if you want to have kids, guess what? You guys will have the privilege where you don't need nannies. You don't need any of that stuff. But they'll probably still do it. You guys can be hands-on parents. We could create a little non-profit for you, okay? And you can just go and do whatever, and you just go travel the world, just go live your life. Why all this extra? Why try to be a culinary entrepreneur? Why even try? Why? Because it's stupid, because you don't have, you know, he's just a hobbyist. He went from being a photographer, and he wasn't good at that. Now he's trying to cook, and he's not good at that. He's not good at anything. He hasn't been put in like a pressure cooker and been forced, like, no, there is no financial security net, and you have to figure out what you're good at or you're gonna sink. He doesn't have that, so he probably isn't gonna find his niche, you know, and that's sad. And Ricky Gervais was right. Like, there's a certain income bracket where if you're giving your kids the best, there's a good chance they turn out to be like a potato, just a dud, because they didn't have any experiences that really brought out the beauty that's in them. They didn't have that. Or maybe he was always going to be a dud. Some people just are. That's okay. That's okay too. But it's lame and it's corny that he's biting the hand that fed him, his parents. It's corny. It's corny that he took his wife's name just because, like, they're billionaires. I know that David and Victoria, they have an insane amount of wealth. It's nothing compared to Nicola's parents, and there is a hierarchy within the upper echelons where it's like, yeah, you have money, but you ain't got money like us. That does exist. And it's just so corny, and it shows you how detached rich people are from everything else. Because granted, I do think you have a lot of people now that are cutting family members off, and you see a lot of low contact and stuff like that. I have very mixed feelings about that. I think some people, as mental health becomes more mainstream, the information and the knowledge is going to become more mainstream. No contact is usually reserved for the worst of the worst, for outright abuse. Also, you know, if your parents are bad people, if they use you, if they abuse you, if they're just not getting it, I think, yeah, But we are 7 billion people on this planet. And I think that people just always want to say, this is just one experience. And it's 7 billion people. So yeah, there are people who are going no contact or low contact with family members, where it's like, oh yeah, this is appropriate to do. And we can be honest with ourselves. There's going to be other people that are misunderstanding their childhood, or because the culture is now that they want to fit in, and they're like, yeah, I went no contact with my mom because she used to tell me to drink milk when I was a kid. It's like, all right, you know, it's you know, that's a big difference between my mom opened my mouth and like was forcing the milk in and stuff. And like, listen, there was propaganda. People used to tell people like milk was good for their kids. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a big difference between was the action actually abusive, or was it just your mom was a product of the time, just like you're a product of your time, and she did something with the best intentions, but look, in hindsight, you're like, that probably wasn't the best move, but it wasn't that big of a deal. You know, you don't actually have trauma from it. Yeah, it kind of sucked, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's people are the heroes of their own story, and we're always gonna be right. So it's like, for every person that genuinely is like, no, you're valid, there's gonna be people where it's like, well, maybe you're the problem. Maybe you should take a couple sessions. Maybe you shouldn't be relying on the couch therapist on TikTok, but maybe you should actually find somebody and check that out, you know? I don't know. It's sad. And then there was another quote by Brooklyn, and this one took me out. He was like, married life is like a never-ending play date. Did your skin crawl? My skin crawled a little bit. A play date. I hear play date, I immediately think of kids. And like parents sometimes like being awkward with each other because you're kind of forced. You're like, oh crap, my kids like each other, our kids like each other, we don't really care for each other. Like, I think of that. I have never ever, no, I'm single, but I've never thought of married life as a never-ending play date. I've never heard anyone describe it like that. Like, you sound like a little kid. You sound like a kid that has not matured, and you're both just imbeciles. But it was just gross. It was like, why are we doing this now? It just feels like such a PR move, and I think that's the big problem with society. And that has been a problem for a long time, is that there's no honesty. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know that the people in their life are like, or I'm sure that there are people in their life that are like, yes, and you look great, and you're beautiful, and don't worry about the Beckhams because they're not here, and this, that, the third. And meanwhile, we as the public, we're like, you have people that are gonna blow smoke up their ass and be like, you look so beautiful, you're this, that, the third. And a lot of them are disingenuous, kind of like the reviews on the Airbnb. Maybe some of them are real. I'm sure a lot of them, if not all, is because they either have a working relationship, or they want to do something, or they want to collab or something like that. They're trying to get their beak wet, and so they're over here being disingenuous. And nobody's gonna tell these people, like, you're not charismatic. The wife, she's fine to look at, but it's like, you guys are kind of a bland couple. We have a lot of problems facing society. Like, a lot of the interest in this is just like, it's a distraction, but there's no real fans. I would love to see what that person looks like. Like, I would love to just be somewhere. Maybe I'm at a training or something, it's kind of boring or whatever, and like, you know, there's someone there that makes small talk, and just for that person to be like, I am a huge Nicola Peltz Beckham fan, and I just want to be like, were you locked in a room as a kid? Like, what was your backstory? Tell me why. You know, I want to meet that person that's like, I love Brooklyn Peltz Beckham. Huge fan of his artwork, of his cooking skills. Like, did you eat lead paint chips as a kid? I want to meet those people. I want to know. I want to get inside their mind. I'm like, that's fascinating to me. Like, you know, a lot of women, especially, and you know, there's a couple men, they're like serial killers. I know some things about serial killers and stuff like that, but it's not, when people are like, I just want to get into their mind, like, it's like, there's not a lot of real mystery there. So a lot of them, it's just they make a choice. Some people are born with sociopathy, blase. No, I want to understand what could make somebody a fan of people that are so bland and so uninteresting and seem so immature and are just trying so hard to be PR savvy when it's like nobody even really cares. And again, they don't have to do this. Take the money and run. Take the money and run. Fuck off. Go live in St. Lucia. Go see the pyramids. You know, I know that human beings need things to do, but again, they can create a nonprofit. People are struggling right now. They can do something really meaningful. They're choosing to be a culinary entrepreneur. I don't care. It's just, what are we doing here? It's stupid. It's stupid. I appreciate them for giving me a distraction from the hellscape that is reality, but somebody needs to tell these people, like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. And the other thing that's very strange is how she went from blonde to brunette. Now, mind you, my hair is like reddish right now. I constantly change up my hair color, so it might just be that. But these people, again, live in a different social group than us. They have access to unlimited resources. They hired a PR consulting firm, apparently. So I wonder if, like, she had people tell her, like, you know, Victoria's a brunette, you're a blonde, blondes are viewed as bimbos. When there's a blonde and a brunette, sometimes blondes can be viewed as the villain. Maybe you need to be a brunette too, so there's less distinction between you two. That sounds crazy. I know I sound crazy saying that out loud, but there are people who do this, who look at that, who are looking at how people come off. Like, they're, if you're hiring a PR firm, right, it's a scam, kind of, but you would have to show them, like, reports and documents, right? You'd have to be like, okay, so we did this, and, you know, your biggest engagement was your wedding, right? And so Brooklyn wants to really push this outdoor pool party, you know, this little off-brand barbecue that he's hosting. He really wants to push that. So you guys should renew your vows so we can, you know, conjure up interest. It's just so pathetic. It's such a pathetic way to live your life. I swear, it goes back to that thing. It's like, people say the wrong people are rich, but it's probably partly that, but another part is just having access to all those resources. It just turns you into such a wet noodle, such a wet blanket of a human being, right? And low-key, I kind of want to become a life coach, but for Nepo babies. Like, and then, like, you know, just so you can be the one who gives them the harsh truths and be like, nobody cares. You know, to have to go up to people and be like, you don't have the same talent as your dad. Sorry. It's okay. It's okay, you know? To go up to Will Smith and Jada's kids and just be like, your parents, a lot of issues, a lot of screwed up. There's a lot of screwed up. There's so many screws loose. You gotta stop walking around with beehives on your head. And, you know, maybe we can go into selling insurance. Maybe you'd be better suited at that, you know? It's really sad because the Nepo babies, you know, I feel for them. I shouldn't because of all their money and all the resources, but I do feel for them because they're probably never going to know who they really are and who they were supposed to be, because they're just automatically like, well, I have to be a musician or an actress or something of the arts, right? You have to be. The, how many how many kids with famous parents are like, no, I'm a chemical engineer. You know, I actually became a teacher. I realized that I didn't have it. I didn't have that charisma. Yeah, I don't think there's been a Nepo baby that has been that brutally honest. I think Chet Hanks gets kind of close. Um, he sometimes will have moments where he's pretty self-aware, but I don't think that there's anybody that has come out and said like, yeah, I I was born to extraordinary parents, but I'm ordinary, and that's okay, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I'm gonna have a nice life, and you know, I'll always have access to that money, so it's okay. Why doesn't that exist? You know, there should also be like, there should be a nonprofit where famous people, you know how like they'll have exchange students, like famous people can send their, or remember they had wife swap, they had all these they had all these shows, like these little social experiments, and it's like, no, I want to see Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter go live with a family in Iowa who's like surviving off of corn and like Pepsi cans. Like it really is that rough in other places. I want to see that. I want to see them struggle with the family and like be hit in the face with how much resources they have, and I want them to like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be whatever I'm trying to do. Maybe I'm not that artistic. Maybe I could do something else with my life. You know, I would like to see that. That would be an interesting concept. And be like, oh wow, you guys really live like this? Like, yeah, we do. Oh, look at that. I'd like to see that. That would be interesting, right? You would just see Brooklyn Beckham. Like there should be something like that. Hey, you want your kid to not be a little shit? Send him to Camden, New Jersey. Send him to a mom that like has permission to like beat his ass every once in a while and like take it if he doesn't go to church with her. I would love that. That would be great. And one, the family that's struggling, they get paid very well. Okay, that can be helpful. And two, you're making a person that's more well-rounded and has better life experiences. Like, I feel so bad for David and Victoria, but I wonder if there's a part of them that's like, crap, we should have sent him to like military school. We should have like left him in the jungles of Thailand and just like, you know, just like pretend he got lost and like see if he makes it out. Like, toughen him up a little bit, because it's it's sad the man that he's grown turned out to be. It's sad when, you know, when you get married with somebody, it's supposed to be a union of the families, right? And you're not gonna like each other, you're not gonna get along with everyone, but there should be like, but you know what, we're family and it is what it is, and we're gonna show up for each other. It should be like that. And the fact that it's as cringy and as corny and as pathetic as it is, it's just embarrassing, you know. It's sad. It's heartbreaking, because it's like, I think I've talked about this before, but like he has a younger sister, and you know, he's got his two brothers, and I have my one sister, and she and I, there was time periods where we did not get along. We fought like cats and dogs. We would live in the same house, but we would go months without talking to each other. It was so, like, it was terrible. It was really awful, and it took years for us to work on our relationship. And she's one of my best pals. She's one of my biggest supporters now, And we've had moments where we're like, yeah, we're never gonna go back to how things used to be. It's just not gonna happen, you know? My sister is the only other person on this entire planet that understands what it was like to be raised by my parents. And love my parents, but you need a refuge. You need a place where you can go to and be like, you don't see how these people are acting? And then somebody be like, yeah, I do. You need that. And the fact that Brooklyn has let go of his siblings and let go of his parents because of the family he was married into, it's just so sad. And it's like, I know it happens on lower economic levels. Like, I've seen it happen to some of my uncles where they marry somebody and it becomes all about the woman's family and less about their family, and it's terrible to see. And like, I've had grandparents who have suffered because of that, and it's sad because my grandparents also didn't realize they contributed to that, so that's also very sad. So I don't know if David and Victoria are having moments where they're like, oh, we contributed to that, or you know, what could we have done differently so he wouldn't have turned out to be such a simp cuck, you know? Because it's like, I don't know, taking your wife's name. I'm not that traditional or that conservative. Like, I'd probably want to keep my name. I like my name. I like Greco. It's a strong sounding last name. But I don't know, taking your wife's name. I think my issue is that it's because there's so much money attached to that name. I think if they were just like regular people, I'd be like, that's kind of sweet. It's kind of sweet. You guys have the same name, is fine. But I think it's that plus him pushing his family aside that it just makes it too much. At this point, just drop Beckham. If you're not gonna have anything to do with your family, if you're gonna, you know, drag them through the muck with this PR, this whole creating a memory that will stay with them forever, but it excludes his entire family, drop the name. Just be Brooklyn Peltz and call it a day. If you're gonna be that much of a turd, like, that's it. It is what it is, you know? Because there's no way that whatever happened between these people warranted all of this. Like, it's too much, and they're such off-putting people that they don't understand that. Like, nobody really cares about them, you know? It's sad, but it's the truth. And it's weird that we live in a society where we are so caustic and we're so afraid of saying the truth. You know, the truth hurts, but it heals. It hurts. It is what it is. So I don't know. It's just very sad. But I know that this was a very long video, but it's like, I saw that vow renewal and I was just like, you know, why? But yeah, let me know what you guys think. This was a distraction from everything else, but I'll talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.